Hello, my name is Ryan Schaefer from Lake Superior College, and this is my Emerging Technologies project. Today I'm going to talk to you today about the Raspberry Pi. What you see before you is the Raspberry Pi Model B. The main difference between the Model A and the Model B is the addition of the RJ45 or Ethernet jack. Now this is a ARM-based computer that is capable of running Linux operating system. To give you a brief overview, on this side you'll see we have the HDMI port. This is capable of running both high-definition audio and video. On here you'll see this is a mini USB Type B, and this is actually used for power. I should mention that you need 700 milliamps in order to run it. Most cell phone chargers with the same style jack should be able to power this device. And here we have the SD card slot that will be used for holding the operating system. And here we have an RCA and a 3.5 millimeter. This is analog, audio, and video, in case you have an older television set. Here on this side you have that RJ45 that I mentioned earlier, as well as two USB 2 ports. Now this is a ARM-based computer, like I had mentioned before. It is essentially, the performance of this is comparable to what you would see with a Pentium 2 Intel-based computer system. The main difference here is that it has an extremely good graphics processor and is also capable of rendering 3D. I should mention here that this is the Debian, and it's already been preloaded on the SD card. If you're interested in getting a Raspberry Pi, I should mention that you either have a good SD card reader or go ahead and get one, because currently you need another computer to actually get the operating system onto the SD card to then boot the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to go ahead here and get it all connected up for us and give you a little demonstration of the Debian. That's what I have on the card. Probably the most well-supported Raspberry Pi distro at this current time. So we'll switch over here to the monitor. You can see we're booting right up, and it's fairly quick for booting. Alright, we're already at our login screen. And you'll see that it just starts here in kind of a terminal session, but with a simple command of Start X. You can bring up the graphical interface that I'm sure most people are more familiar with. Again, it is a Linux distro, so you should make sure you brush up on your Linux skills before you dive into the Raspberry Pi. Currently, it's not very beginner friendly. One of the things that I would have liked to demonstrate for you was the XMB-C, which for those that are not familiar with, is a multimedia program that runs on Linux, basically home theater PC. At this time you have to actually compile it on the Raspberry Pi itself. I started on that, but again, with a slow processor, it takes a time investment that I just didn't have the time to get it done before I had to get this demonstration out. So what I'm going to do is just basically give you the quick overview. Again, this is not a speed machine by any means. What it's designed to be is a low-cost computer. The Raspberry Pi Foundation set out to develop a low-cost computer so that they could get it into middle school aged children, to get them interested in computer programming and get a better understanding of how a computer actually works. Again, at the price point of $35 for this model right here, the idea was that a school would be able to purchase one of these for every student that they have. $35 is less than most textbooks that a school uses. The whole idea You may have heard of the laptop for every child, where that was more for the developing world. The Raspberry Pi is kind of going more for the already developed world, in assuming that the students that would have this would have access to a USB mouse and keyboard and monitor, things of that nature. So, this is the Raspberry Pi's main website, which is raspberrypi.org. Here's where they'll have the news, frequently asked questions, start guides. There's also a wiki that is completely devoted to the Raspberry Pi. One of the big headlines here is Quake 3 was actually ported over to the Raspberry Pi. I haven't actually installed it yet, but might be looking into checking that out. On the downloads page here is where you would be able to find all the distros. For those that don't know, a distro is basically a different operating system. Now, they'll all be Linux-based currently, but the distros is kind of just different themes, if you will, a different look and feel, and the same core programs, but maybe a little bit of different functionalities. Currently, there is Debian, which is what you're looking at here. Arch is available, Fedora. And, the frequently asked questions is just kind of a getting started, gives you some basic background information and a quick overview of it. The quick start guide is to just try to help people get started. Like I said, it's currently not very beginner friendly. So if you're new to Linux, I would say at this point you might want to hold off on it. Other than that, it basically just comes with your standard set of Linux tools, and programming was kind of one of the big things that they wanted to go for with this, and they wanted to point out that you can, of course, write in Python, but you can also write in any other language that can be compiled on the ARM version 6 architecture. I'm not a programmer myself, but hopefully some of you programming folks would find that more interesting than I. So my basic overview is the Raspberry Pi right now is a very good concept. It's in its very, very early release. I only got this about a week and a half ago, and I haven't had the time that I would like to devote to it. Like I said, the operating systems are a little rough around the edges yet, and it's not a fast machine. If you're looking for something quick, this isn't your answer. You're probably not going to replace the home PC that you currently have. But if you have a child, or someone or if you're a developer and you want to have an inexpensive test bed, I think this is a great piece for that. Again, the Raspberry Pi only uses about 1 watt when it's running, and I kind of plan to basically use it for XBMC, like I said, using it as a home theater PC, as well as using it as a VPN gateway, because I plan to, once I get the system up and running and nice and stable, just pretty much leave it running all the time. Consuming one watt while running is really revolutionary. Seeing as most computer power supplies are probably 250 to 500 watts. This is just merely a fraction of that. Of course, what you save in power, you definitely lose in performance, but the video performance is surprisingly well from what I've seen with this device. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.